Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the rod shop. Today we're working on the VooDoo rod and some thread work, so y'all stick around. Okay, I've got my blank chucked up in my power wrapper. You can do this with a stand. I've got it for freewheeling. I'm going to turn it by hand when I do this wrap. I've got two colors in my thread carriage. I've got a black and a blue, and I have the tension set as tight as I can set it and not have the rod back roll when I let go. This is going to be significantly tighter than I wrap a guide foot with. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to put my glasses on because I'm using size A thread, and in order for you guys to see what I'm doing with the lighting, that typically means I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, trigger side up. I'm going to pull out my black and blue threads and take my black thread. That's going to be my starting thread. Separate them. I'm going to start a wrap, 2 turns. You guys have seen me do this another way with crossing over using tape, but you can do it this way too. It's just as easy. It's just sometimes with my fat fingers and then the neuropathy in my hands from a life in construction, I have a tough time doing this, but I'm going to try it this way. We're just going to jump over, pinning the first 2 wraps in place. So that's 3. Now I always have all of my thread switches and tags and tucks on the dirty side of the rod, which is the trigger side or the spine. That's 4. That's 5. Not quite 5 yet. That's 5. That's 6. Now we've got that thread locked down pretty good, so I'm going to snip it out of the way. And nippers. And let's do 7, 8, 9, 10. This is where I start my color switch. On my 11th wrap here, my tag end that I cut is out of the way, the tail. I'm back on the trigger side. I'm going to pull my carriage over just a hair to create a gap. Okay. I'm going to pick up my blue thread. I'm going to pull some slack because you need slack to make this next part happen. Taking the tag end of the blue, and I'm going to tuck it under where it's coming out on the trigger. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to put the blue, well, I was going to hold it. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to put the blue in that gap that I created. And I'm going to wrap 1 turn, blue inside the black. And then we cross over still with the blue inside the black, and now I'm going to tighten up my spool tension on the blue. And I can't see it. It crossed over right there. Alright, so I need to make sure that my blue is on the inside. There we go. Blue on the inside, black on the outside. Now I'm going to hold it again, and I'm going to get my even tension on both of my threads here, and I'm going to tighten these gaps up. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to do 1 more turn. I may back this turn off. I just want to get everything organized. Okay, back to the dirty side. That's 2 full wraps of blue inside black. Now, separate your color that you want to switch from, which is the black. I'm going to pull some slack. I'm going to nip it. Now I'm going to tuck it underneath the blue and roll it about a quarter turn. And then I'm going to make a loop and pull it back under with the tag in. And it jumped again. There we go. Okay, well, this is how you fix it when you mess it up. There's where it jumped. I'm still running blue inside black. I'm fixing this. Okay, now let's tuck it back in here again. That's going to need some neatening. There we go. Okay, now I'm holding it. The black's already cut. Blue's on the outside where it should have been. And I'm just going to tuck the black underneath. It's hard for me to do this in a way that you can see what I'm doing. I'm usually a little better at this. And I'm just tucking it under and rolling it to pin it. And then I'm going to create a little loop here and pull the tag back out to the right. Now you can wrap from here with blue. Now that looked a lot more complicated than it really is. Like I said, I'm trying to get this where you can see it and not so much where I can see it. So now we got everything tied down and we're in the third wrap of the blue only. So I'm going to cut this blue tag out of the way. That's 3. Actually, that would be 4, 5, 6, 7. Now what I want to do is I'm going to pull this loop out without it twisting too badly, I hope. Sometimes this thread wants to twist. Now this black is giving me some issues right here, so I have a little bit of a knot forming. So I pulled it, and now I'm going to pull it back up to the dirty side, right on my trigger, so it's coming out underneath the blue, right on the trigger. And then you just burnish to neaten your lines up. Cut your black tag. And now you're wrapping in blue. And that's all there is to it, guys. A little bit of burnishing. This is the pretty side. Oops, got a little crazy with the burnishing there. So this is the pretty side. So you started with black, which still needs some burnishing. Straighten your lines up. You have 2 blues, and then you switch over to full blue. Just all there is to it. Again, not as neat as it could have been, but I was trying to do this in a hurry in such a way so you could see it. But that's the basics of doing a color switch. Okay, I did this out here in the middle of the blank just so it's easier for you guys to see this. I'm going to do one here with an accent trim band in the silver, and we're going to do that next. I've moved down. We're going to do a color switch with a trim band right here. Coming off of the EVA butt grip, we're going to do black, then we're going to do a color switch to blue, and then we're going to do a silver trim band, if I can find the end of the silver. Alright, so I just need about a foot, maybe a little bit more of the silver. Now it's metallic, so it's going to want to twist. So I'm just relaxing it so it'll lay flat. And put this back in here. I'll put a little tape on it. Okay, that'll keep that from unwinding. Now I will, on the dirty side, the trigger side, the bottom spine of the blank, I'm just going to pin this down to hold it in place. Going to be a little bit on the loose side. I'll pin it over here, and then I'm going to take my extra and fold it under this tape as well, just to keep it from flopping around in my way. Okay, now I'm going to get my threads organized here. They're crossing. So what I've done, where is my thread pick? There it is. I modified this carriage. I put these 3 extra in just so it's a little easier for me to keep track of the threads. But I want a black, on the outside. So the black is over here, blue is over here. And I'm just trying to get them lined up coming through my carriage. You don't have to do this, it just makes it a little easier. Alright, blue is on the outside, inside, black is on the outside. I have tension set quite a bit higher than I would for a guide wrap, but I'm going to need to pin it just like I did in the other demonstration here. So, okay. Now, dirty side. I'm going to start my wrap here. I'll pull a little slack so I can tuck it in there. I'm going to go around a couple times on the blank. Pull some tension and cross over. Pin it, and that's 3 wraps. It's 4 wraps. Okay, I'm going to push this back tight to the butt grip. As we make our 5th wrap. And I'm going to cut that black out of the way. Eight. 9, 10. Now I want more of a trim, black trim, so I'm going to come about 20 wraps out. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, there's 20. I'm just going to tighten it up a little bit here. Now, I'm going to free that. I just took that tape off I'm going to nip it close, and then I'm going to pull just a little to get it to disappear under the black, and there it goes. I'll pull that slack through here, tighten that back up a little bit. All right, now I'm ready to do the color switch. So I'm pulling my blue to get some slack. I'm going to open up a wedge right there. I'm going to tuck the blue under where my trim wrap is. So I've got my blue pinned there. Now, one other way you can do this, so you can take just a little bit of tape and you can pin it to the blank temporarily, and that will help to keep it from slipping out when you start your color change. I'm just going to pin that there, because I'm going to take that back off in just a second. Now what that does is it's going to hold this to make this color switch just a smidge easier. So now what I want to do is I'm going to have the blue drop in to the left of the black, and I'm going to make a wrap. Black on the outside, blue on the inside. And it just jumped. Now this size A is difficult to do. It's more difficult than size D would be. So that's one full wrap. And now what I want to do is tighten my blue thread back up so I've got equal tension on the blue and the black. And I now have the blue and the black separated, and it runs straight down, and I don't have to worry about it flipping as easily. So I'm going to tighten this up a little bit. I'll make one more turn. Blue on the inside, black on the outside. I'm going to tighten this up. That's two full turns. Blue on the inside, black on the outside. I'm going to do one more turn just to lock it down even better. Alright, now we're back to the dirty side of the blank where you make all your color switches. Now, I'll trim this blue out of the way. It's locked down good now. Take my nippers. I'm going to pull it down to the trim line. Right there. Nip it off. Okay. I'm going to tuck all this tight. Now, here's where you make your color switch. Now, I'm going to put my finger in the way of the camera. Sorry about that, but I got to hold it while I separate blue and the black coming off the thread carriage. Sometimes can be difficult. And I'm pulling some slack in the black thread. Now, I'm going to nip it down here. I'm going to reach back here and I'm going to tuck it under the blue as we make a turn on the blue. And then I'm going to pull a small loop and tuck it under the blue and continue wrapping blue. So I'm going to wrap about 10 turns of blue. That's 3, or that's 1 of the solid blue. Okay, now I think that was 7 solid blues. I'm going to get this black now that it's pinned underneath. I'm gonna put my finger on it again, so I'm blocking, but I'm putting it right down on top of where the trim thread comes through. And I'm gonna pull the tag in to come back out in that same spot. So I'm gonna do 3 more wraps. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now we have 10 solid blues. Okay. Now I'm halfway through my blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so that's 5 more wraps. You can do as many wraps you want. I just want a bigger splash of blue in the handle here. Okay, now we need to put in a thread pull. So I'm going to grab a couple of them. I got a tangled mess of thread pulls up here. There we go. So I have 2 thread pulls. I'm going to put 1 thread pull in for pulling the blue. I'm going to put it here. And I'm going to do 5 more wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. And I'll probably do more than that because I'm used to wrapping with D. And the dimensions are a little off in my head here. So I'm going to do 1 more. Trying to even out my black and my blue. Maybe 1 more. And now I'm going to put a second thread pull in. This is going to be for pulling the trim wrap. Now there are different ways to do a trim wrap where you can just add it in and tuck it, or do 4 wraps and tuck both ends. I can't make that work for some reasons. This is the way I do it. Okay, now we're done with the blue. It's going to be pulled with this first thread pull here. So I'm cutting the blue, my carriage out of the way, and I'm going to pull the blue just like that. I'm going to pull some tension, but I'm not going to cut the tag in yet. Now I'm going to release my trim silver. And I'm going to pick it up, dirty side, and start the wrap by hand. So there's 1, or there's 1, 2, 3, and that blue tag is in my way. 4, and it got caught underneath my wrap. There we go. And that's starting to look like a nice trim band. I'll probably add 2 more to it. 5. And 6. That's about the right width I'd like to have. I'm going to tuck it through the second thread pull. I'm going to pull it underneath the blue and the silver. Okay, the reason I didn't pull that tag in is what you saw there maybe when I was pulling underneath the blue, that size 8 thread loosened just a little bit. So I'm going to pull the blue tight again, a little extra tension in there. I'm going to pull the silver tight. Ooh, and it broke. You gotta be careful with metallic thread. Don't put too much on it. Now I'm going to cut my blue tag with my razor blade. I'm just basically pushing it down on a blank and pulling the blue thread to it. I'll lock this down so I can hold it a little better. My hands aren't working great this morning. So there we go. I've got to figure out how to fix that. So what I'll do, I'll pry it up. I'll nip it as close as I can. And then I'm going to use my pick just to push that little bit of silver back down in the groove. And if it still sticks up, I'll burn it off with a lighter. I'll free this up. So there you have it. Black's color switch to blue with a silver trim band. Nice look, not that hard to do. It's a little complicated to show you and do it at the same time, but I'm getting better at that. All you do now is burnish, get rid of your gaps, get everything lined up right. I am going to have to flame that little tag end of the metallic off. There's your first one. I'm going to match that here. I'm also going to do an under wrap that looks very similar. And then, probably out here in front of the real seat, I may do a long fade wrap just for some more accent on this rod, because this rod is going to be raffled off for charity. I want to add some more time to it, a little more bling, see if we can't get the value of this rod up somewhere around $400. So next time we'll do the fade wrap, the under wrap, and we'll wrap the rest of the guides. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.